Welcome back to our next Formula Application Friday training. So, today, what I'm going to be coaching you on is how to make certain and confident decisions. So, what I'm going to be running you through today is an exclusive process that I have developed that I've used with hundreds of women that I have coached to help them really get into a place where they are deciding with confidence. Because I see a lot of you out there having a lot of drama when it comes to decision making. So, when we go into the decision making process and we have all this drama, what ends up happening, and this is actually why I created this formula, was to solve this problem, is when we have all this drama, we're making these quick, uninformed decisions that are costing us time, money. It feels stressful, it feels hard, it feels overwhelming. And a lot of us find ourselves in a pattern where we'll make a decision really quick and then all of a sudden we'll start overthinking it later and then we unmake the decision, which can create a lot of complexity for so many of us, especially in business. I mean, have you ever been in a place where you have a boss who gives you one, dose of feedback and they're like, okay, go do this. This is what I decided. And then all of a sudden they change their mind. And later in the day, you're now going in a completely different direction. You spent hours of time on something and now that time was wasted. So we want to stay out of this cycle. So I want to help you start making these beautiful, confident decisions based upon the foundation of certainty. Because when you are in that dramatic cycle, and your brain has all this drama over decision making. I know these things are happening. We avoid decision making altogether because it feels so heavy. We start to dread it. It just feels painful. It feels overwhelming and it can feel really scary. We get into situations where we delegate our decision making because it almost feels easier for somebody to decide for us. But when we do this, we're basically taking a passenger seat role in our life and just handing someone else the keys to say, hey, just decide for me, because the act of actually making a decision just feels too daunting. We get into a place where we don't trust if we made the right decision. And next thing you know, we're overthinking, oh God, what if, did I make the right decision? What if this goes wrong? Right. And that process in itself is just enough to make anybody want to bang their head up against a wall. We find ourselves in a place where we're feeling dips in our confidence when we go into decision making. So then all of a sudden we're second guessing. So we go into these processes and this makes decision making feel exhausting. So therefore, we don't want to do it. Of course, who wants to go into anything when we feel that dread and that exhaustion and have such a hard time making decisions because it requires so much energy to get to the point of actually deciding. So I want to help you through all of this. So if you find that you are in that place where decision making just feels terrible, you are going to get a lot out of today's training. So, what I'm going to offer you is my formula. This is exclusive, something I created to help you when it comes to making secure and confident decisions. So, this is called the BOSS formula. And this is really a 4-step evaluation process to serve as a decision making filter to help you really look at what happens when you actually make a secure decision. So I'm going to run you all through this. You're going to have so much to work with by the end of this training. But my whole entire goal with this is for you to walk away with something tangible to know, okay, next time I go into making a big decision in my life, I have something that can help me easily generate all of the information that I need. So that way you can decide with confidence. So consider this just a quick tool that you can access to really help you evaluate and decide with ease, and know that you have looked at every single thing that you need to look at in order to make a secure, certain, and confident decision. So this is going to help you create a lot more time, right? So we're not going to have so much overthinking going into this process. We're not going to have so much drama going into this process. So you're going to get time back in your day when you start using this on a regular basis. You're also going to show up feeling different about yourself because you're no longer going to think, oh God, I don't trust myself to make decisions, right? You're going to be like, yeah, decision making, no problem. You're going to start showing up like a boss. That's why I named it boss. I just think it's such a powerful energy when you start thinking of yourself as a woman who has the ability to make really powerful decisions based upon the foundation of certainty, security, and confidence. So this is going to move you towards more success. We're in the middle of Success Up September. My whole entire goal with this month is to deliver you tools that are going to help you generate success. And we're going to do that in a really powerful way today. So I like to think of this as a opportunity for you to be handed back 100% result responsibility, because when you have 100% responsibility over your decision making, your results that you are creating, it just becomes something you are in full control of. So consider this the keys to the kingdom that I'm handing you in order to start just really feeling empowered when it comes to the decision making process and deciding just with a completely different energy in your life. I'm so excited for you to experience this. Okay, so what I want you to know is on the other side of this training, there's going to be a few things that happen. And I'm so just like, I get in that moment where I'm like, oh my God, I just can taste how wonderful this is going to feel once this becomes your reality. So I want you just to imagine yourself being in a place where you never have to wait on making a decision again. That is such a beautiful thing. And you're going to get faster results in both life and business because you're going to know how to actually make beautiful decisions. So, on the other side of this, we're going to have some elevation happening. So make space for room to grow, make space to practice this because once you actually learn how to use this as a tool, this is going to be a really powerful tool to keep in your toolkit and access at all times. All right. So before we dive into the process, I want to show you one quick thing because I want to talk about a pattern of decision making that is never going to serve you and never going to get you the results that you want in your life. And I see a lot of you stuck in this place. So I actually wrote this out on the whiteboard and I want to talk you through what it looks like to enter the uncertain decision making cycle. So this might sound familiar to you. I find a lot of the women that I work with live in this cycle. I definitely lived in this cycle at many points in my life before I started learning how to make very empowered, secure, certain decisions. So how this ends up looking is when we go into the decision making process, we start it by overthinking. Then we go into a place where the overthinking ends up being so exhausting that then we just avoid making the decision altogether. Then we go back to the place of like, oh, I have to make that decision. So we start overthinking it again. Then we finally make a decision after all of this overthinking and avoidance. And then we overthink it some more. And then is this sounding familiar, right? And then we unmake the decision because we've now overthought it too much and we go back into this whole entire cycle again. So the thing that is actually feeding this cycle is uncertainty. So when we go into this process where we're never leading this with the feeling of certainty, then it's totally natural for us to overthink it, to doubt it, to wonder, what if, am I making the right decision? Oh God, should I have done this? Right. And now all of a sudden we are spending so much time lost in our head. And I always say, when you are in your head, you are dead because you're not out there taking action. You're not out there making decisions. You're not getting closer to where you want to be because you're overthinking it. So I see a lot of women stuck in this pattern, and this is costing you a lot of time and it is costing you a lot of energy. So we want to stay out of here. We don't want to be in a place where you are in this just total analysis paralysis, having all this drama, because once again, that's just going to be putting more distance in between you and where you want to be. So when you are in a process of living in this and you are not following through with making decisions, what I find happens is when we go into this, it'll be like, okay, I made a decision, and you start to take some action. So you've left your comfort zone and you're actually starting to do the thing, right? So that's when we're in this portion of the process. And then all of a sudden, you start to get scared because now you are outside of your comfort zone. Your brain has a lot of unknowns, and your brain is like, come back to the comfort zone. We don't like the uncertain unknowns over here. And your brain is just doing its job. So just know that is your brain's way of protecting you, your brain's way of keeping you safe. Your brain is literally designed to use the least amount of energy and keep you as comfortable as possible. Our brains don't like when we have uncertainty in our lives, right? So it's always going to pull you back to that place of comfort. So when you are in that place where you decide and you start taking action, it is totally normal to feel fear. It is totally normal to feel doubt. It is totally normal for any sort of insecurities to come up. So that when we don't know how to navigate that part of the process is when we go into the process of unmaking decisions, right? Because we've now fed into the doubt, we fed into the fear, we fed into all of this drama in our brain. So we unmake the decision and we go back into our comfort zone. And all of a sudden we're in confusion and we're beating ourselves up of like, oh, I just did the thing, right? Like imagine if you were in a relationship, you knew the relationship really needed to end. This could be a professional relationship. You might want to quit your job, or it could be a personal relationship. You want to leave your partner. And then you finally got the guts to do it. And then all of a sudden you got really uncomfortable because now you're alone again. So your brain is like, hold on, go back. It feels much safer to not be alone. So I'm going to go back to this relationship that I know isn't working for me out of comfort because it was too scary. I had too much doubt. I was questioning things too much. So your brain pulled you right back to your comfort zone, right? So if you don't know how to navigate this, and this is what I teach women how to do every single day through the one-to-one coaching that I do, you're always going to be living in this place where decision making is never something that feels empowering. It's always going to be something to where you're dreading it. You feel like you just want to avoid it at all costs because it feels extremely overwhelming. So I don't want to see you living in this space. Instead, what I want to see you living in is a space where you have all of the information ahead of time to make a secure decision, to where you are not delegating your decision making, because this is an area where I see women lose a lot of time and expend a lot of energy as well, is you basically consult everybody in your life. So you're like, mom, what should I do? Best friend, what should I do? Husband, what should I do? Hey, kids, what should I do? Hey, boss, what should I do? And now you have all these other different opinions coming at you, and you're like, Oh my God, so I want to see you in a place where you consult yourself first. So let's go into a quick option for you to get yourself into that place where you know how to consult yourself first. You know how to get yourself all of that information first, because I want you to start with giving yourself that alignment before you start asking everybody else. Because what that's going to do is help you to start trusting your own answers first and feel like I know how to make the right decisions for myself. Yes, I know how to decide with confidence versus thinking you need everybody else's voice in your head. Because what I find when you get so much noise in your head, it creates so much confusion and overwhelm, which is only going to keep you in a place where you're not deciding. A confused mind does not make a decision. So we want to keep you into the place of knowing versus feeding your confusion. Okay, so let me share my screen with you and I'm going to introduce you to the boss formula. Are you ready for this? I'm so excited for you to experience this. Okay, so I'm pulling up PowerPoint. I'm going to get this in presentation mode. All right. So here we go. So this is the boss formula training. So like I said, the reason why I created this is we don't want you in a space where you are making quick, uninformed, irrational decisions where you have you're just kind of like on a whim, flying by the seat of your pants and just like, oh, I'm going to just decide this, right? I used to see this a lot happen when I was working in corporate. For example, if I was talking to my boss, I had one boss who had a really hard time making decisions and actually sticking to them. So she would just answer something just to give me an answer. And then she would think about what she actually decided later. And then once again, she would unmake her decision. And then I would have a lot more work on my plate because I would have been going in one direction. Then all of a sudden I'm going back. It's just not a way to create ease and efficiency in the workplace. This also costs us a lot of time and money because think about when you're in that pattern of overthinking it, when you're in that pattern of just completely, going back and forth and analysis paralysis, you're costing yourself time. And if you're doing this professionally, they're paying you on the, if you're getting paid hourly, they're paying you to make decisions. And if you're spending all of that time where your company is paying you to decide, overthinking it and having drama about it, that's not the best use of your company's money. So when we approach decision making in this way, it's always going to feel hard and stressful and overwhelming, which is not what I want for you. So when we look at this, there are four specific areas of criteria that I love to look at when it comes to creating a decision that feels very certain and very secure. And that is your money, your time, your feeling of security in your body, and the success potential. So when I created this formula, I was thinking about all the areas where I've seen women get hung up on decision making, right? And we always have a lot of decision drama about money, a lot of decision drama about time, a lot of decision making, drama about, oh God, is this the right decision? Let me tell you something about decision making. There's no such thing as the right or wrong decision unless you decide it is the right or wrong decision. So decision making is neutral until you assign it meaning. That was like earth shattering when I heard that the first time. I was like, wait, what? Like, I get to decide if it was a wrong decision. I choose to see decision making now as I'm either winning or I'm learning. And there's no drama associated with it because my one decision is going to give me information that leads me to my next decision. So I don't have drama when it comes to decision making. I just decide and I go. But it's because I started using this filter to help me guide my decision making process. So the four areas where we want to generate awareness going into any decision is this bankable? Is this optimized? Does this feel secure in my body? And will this generate success for me? So I'm going to go into each of these steps a little bit deeper in just a second, but I want to talk through why we need to look at this by specific criteria. So when we are looking into bankable, is this decision, and this is how I love to look at it, right? So let's say, and I'm going to run you through really specific examples in just a second, but is this decision going to make money for me? Or is it going to subtract money from me? Is this decision, when we look at optimize, is it going to create time for me? Or is it going to subtract time for me and cost me time? Does this decision make me feel secure in my body? Or does it feel insecure? Does this decision feed my success or does it starve my success? So those are really the specific points that I want you to think about going into any decision-making process. So let's go into this a little bit deeper. So when we look at this, I love to use this awareness filter to get you to the place of feeling 100% confident when you go to decide. So when you are looking at this, and once again, I'm going to have a very specific example for you in just a second so you can see this play out in real time. You're going to look at these specific things. I want you to think like a boss, and this is how we're going to get you there. So, when you start looking at this, you're going to know your decision making is going to feel so much different in your body because your decisions are going to feel secure and informed. They're going to feel confident and certain, and it's going to feel calm and easy versus being in a place where it feels so stressful, so overwhelming, so much dread, just where you want to go stick your head in the sand and avoid it altogether, which is once again only costing you time and energy and keeping you farther away from being where you want to be. So this is going to break down the drama when it comes to this because it's just reducing the complexity. It's cutting out all the other noise. And once again, it's going to save you so much time because you're not living in the land of overthinking where all that mind drama is created. So we want to keep you out of there. Okay. So I want you to think about a decision that you've been putting off for a while, right? What is that? Is it something, a big financial decision? Is it leaving your job? Is it ending a relationship? Is it you've been avoiding having this conversation with your partner because you're scared of what they're going to think, right? Like, what is it that you are avoiding thinking about? Because what my goal is for you when you start to apply this formula is to know with 100% certainty and create this confident boss vibe in your body that you know you made the right decision for yourself because it was secure and informed. And the only way that it becomes the wrong decision is if you decide it was the wrong decision. Okay, so that is how the formula looks. Now, what I want to do is run you through some real life examples and talk a little bit further about how to actually put this formula into practice. Okay. So every moment you are thinking like a boss, you are creating success for yourself. So whether you are a business owner or whether you are an employee, whether you are just having success personally within your relationships and running a household, this formula applies in all aspects of your life. So when you go into this process, I'm going to use a very specific example. So we have talked about this cycle. Sorry, I'm going to do what I do with my clients and take a picture because I'm going to use this later. My clients always, I do a lot of work on the whiteboard and then I send them DMs later with all of our work so that way they can reference it. So that's what it's like when you have me as a coach. I do a lot of whiteboard work. Okay, so what we are going to look at is, let's say you are looking for a new job. You are going into the interviewing process. And let's say you are currently in a job, and I'm going to run this whole entire thing out, right? So this is going to be very detailed. Get ready for this to break your brain. You might have to come back to this video a couple times to really understand and process everything that I'm offering you. But I promise you, this will be the most valuable time spent because once you learn how to think like this, change the rest of your decision making for the rest of your life. Okay, so let's say you're looking for a new job. You're in a current role right now where it's just not working. You're in this place where you're like, okay, I know I need to leave. You know that this is costing you when it comes to your energy. You're feeling very constricted in this role. You feel like, okay, and this is a real life scenario I find for a lot of women. So let's say this is your reality, right? So you hate this job. It's keeping you constricted. It's costing yourself success. You are in a place where your health is suffering. Maybe you're overweight. Maybe you're unhappy. Maybe your mental health is in, a very trying time. And you know that there's an opportunity over there. And you see this opportunity and you're like, ooh, okay, that could be attractive, but it's making less money. What do you do? Right? So let's use the boss formula to evaluate this for you. So we know right now you're not happy, but we also know your ego's like, I can't take a pay cut. I can't do it. So let's talk about if your reality is you're in this role getting paid $175,000, but you're stressed to the max, you're overworking, you're literally 1 second away from losing it. You don't trust your coworkers. They're coming for you every single day. You're literally going to work feeling like you're going to war. You've got your armor on. You're like, all right, who's going to knife me today? Right. So nobody can ever make a decision when you're in that place, and nobody can make a secure and informed decision when you're in that place because you are literally in survival mode. So if you find yourself where you're in this place where you're maybe getting paid a good salary, but your health and your emotional well-being is suffering and you're not happy, and maybe your number one BFF is on speed dial and that is Uber Eats, and you are just hemorrhaging money because you are spending all the money on Uber Eats. Maybe your other BFF is wine and you are just completely drinking at the end of the night because you just need something to help you come down from the craziness that is your reality at work every single day. You know you're not taking care of yourself because it's just too much. Like, let's kind of think about if that's your reality, right? So you see this other opportunity over here, and it has beautiful life balance, and it has the opportunity to work from home, and it has a really healthy culture that is all based upon wellness, and you won't be commuting in anymore. But yet, once again, your brain is rejecting it because it's paying $160,000 and you're going to pay 175 where you're at. Okay, so let's use the first part of the boss formula to look at the financial portion of this first. So if your first barrier, and you know, like this opportunity could be perfect for you, your first barrier is, I don't want to make less money. let's look at this, right? So if you're making 175 right now, sorry, my headphones keep getting stuck on this. Okay, so you're making 175 right now. And this new role is potentially paying 160. So this would be a difference of $15,000. Okay. So when we actually get to that place where we're breaking it down to where if you are, this is, what you would be losing if you were to take this new role that offered you exactly what you wanted. So let's think about this, right? So this breaks down to $1,250 per month before taxes. Now, on average, and I'm basing this on California's tax rate, this actually works out to about $780 per month after taxes. So this is what you would be costing yourself if in the case you took a $15,000 a year pay cut. Now, let's say you're currently spending on these things, right? So let's say you're spending $50 a week on gas. You are spending $300 a week on food plus drinks because life is so stressful and you have to go eat your feelings and you need to go drink your feelings away and just be with anybody who can distract you from the reality that is living in the stress that is, your reality at this job, right? Then you're spending $100 a week on shopping to fill the void because when you get home, you're scrolling on Instagram and all of a sudden this ad hits you and you're like, oh, that would solve my problem. That would feel really good. So you're just, like mindlessly spending like a lot of us do, right? So you're spending $100 a week on shopping. So let's talk about what this would actually work out to. So this works out to $2,600 per year, right? Now, and see how micro we're getting here. This is why it's so important to go this level of micro when you are making decisions because it is going to help you make the right decision for yourself. Okay. So now so if we are spending so this is $15,000, 15,600 a year on going out to avoid, right? Then for shopping, this is 5,200 per year. Right. So this is literally to get to your job, to escape the stress that your job's offering you and to fill the void via shopping, to escape the reality and get a quick hit of dopamine by buying something, right? A lot of us do this. So this works out to a total of spending $23,400 per year. So interestingly enough, if you were in that place where you were spending $23,000 to escape the stress that comes along with being in this role, is it actually something to where you're losing money and taking, that pay cut because this spending goes away. If you're in a job where you're not needing to spend on gas because you're working from home, you're not needing to escape and go out all the time and, try to escape your emotional trauma that you're having from work. You're not needing to fill the void via shopping. So what if you don't need to escape, right? You just saved yourself $23,000 per year. So if that was the reality, you'd actually be in a place where you have $8,000 more per year because you're no longer escaping your current reality. And I think for a lot of us, we forget that when we change our circumstance, which is work, right? So we change our job, our lifestyle changes, our stress level changes, our reality changes, right? And with that change, you might look at it on paper and think, oh God, I'd be taking a pay cut to go to this role. But in actuality, your spending habits and your purchase decisions they're going to change too. So if that was the case, you'd actually be having $8,000 more in your pocket, even with a $15,000 pay cut. Do you see where I'm going here? So for a lot of us, we get into a place where when we're going through the job interview process, we see, oh, that job is less money than what I'm at right now. So we instantly reject it. We don't think of the actual benefits of how our life is going to get better, or is it actually less, right? We're never going this micro with the details. So we have to dig beneath the surface and get past our ego saying, oh God, I could never be someone who makes less money, right? And do the math because a lot of times you're going to see that you'll end up having more money in the long run because your lifestyle and your spending habits and your purchase decisions, what's driving them changes when your job changes. So we've got to go micro when we look at this, right? Okay, do you see where I'm going with this? Is this making sense? If not, send me a message and we will talk through this in real time. So I love using this first. This is bankable, right? So would this opportunity be bankable to me in this circumstance? I would say yeah, because you're actually ending up with a surplus of $8,000 because once again, you're not spending to escape on these specific things. Okay. So that's your bankable portion. Now let's talk about optimized. So I love helping women optimize their time. I used to be the queen when I was working in corporate of the budget and the timeline. I think it is so fun to figure out how to create time. So let's keep going with this example of getting a new job. So let's say right now you are on average commuting 2 hours per day for your current job, right? And we know if you were to take that other opportunity, that goes away. So this equals 520 hours per year, which is crazy. And I feel this. I used to commute anywhere from 3 to 5 hours per day. I would basically live my life on the 405 freeway. Any of you that are in LA understands how painful of a process that could be. So I get, it was thousands of hours of my life that I lost working at this company for 3 years. So let's think about if you were basically spending 520 hours a year commuting, right? So that's just you sitting in your car going to work. Let's also think about what happens when you get sucked into this whole entire idea of, oh, now I have to stay late because I'm working in an office. So let's say you're staying late 1 hour per week or one hour per day, right? And the way that you can think about this is if you're working from home, that also goes away. So this would be an additional 260 hours per year if you were to go for this work from home opportunity. So that means if we're looking at this from an optimized standpoint, when you're making this decision on whether you're going to pursue this new job, if you take this new job, that means you have just created 780 hours for yourself just by letting go of the commute and no longer staying late. That's a lot of time. How would you spend that time? Think about that for a second, right? Think about how your life will get so much better when you have 780 hours of your life back. Huge, right? I know mine got a lot better when I started working from home, and I would never go back to an office life, nor would I ever go back to working for somebody else, but that's just me. Okay. So now let's go to our first S, secure, right? So we've done bankable, we've done optimized. So we've looked at money, we've looked at time. Now let's look about how approaching getting this new job actually feels in our body. So what feels secure about this role? So meaning where do you feel confident? Like, yeah, I could slay this. What feels certain? Like, yes, I know this is meant for me. Yes, I know I could do this. And what feels insecure in your body? So what is feeling uncertain? What is feeling confused, right? So let's say you know right now that this role is exactly what you want to do. You know that you are more than qualified. You know you are going to literally walk in the door and kill it. So you feel secure with the value that you're bringing to the table. So you feel super secure about going through the interview process. And you know, being in that role, you would have a lot of value to add. Now, maybe what feels insecure is, oh God, I'm going to be working with a new team. I hate feeling like the new person on the block. It feels like the first day of school all over again. I mean, I've worked at this other company for so long. I feel like I have such great relationships with all my other coworkers. I don't know if I want to leave behind, those relationships because I've invested so many years of history into building these. So I don't know if I want that, but maybe it's not a big deal because I'm going to be working from home. So I'm not going to see these new coworkers that much. So maybe it's, not really as scary as I'm thinking, right? So just notice in your thinking by tapping into like what actually feels secure or insecure, that's going to show you where you have your confidence and where you need to build certainty, right? So anything that feels uncertain, all you need to do is think about, okay, well, what do I need to do to feel certain here? And then you can help yourself work through that in real time. So I love using our feelings in our body because a feeling is just a vibration in our body that's created via thought, right? So I love using that sensation in our body of like, okay, where do I feel insecure? And then all of a sudden you see this and that insecurity comes in your body and you're like, oh, interesting, because it's such a beautiful awareness tool and growth tool to help show you ahead of time, okay, this is what I would need to work through in order to feel confident and secure and certain going into this role. You're already giving yourself such an advantage by seeing that ahead of time versus walking into the door of this new opportunity being like, I don't know, I didn't think about any of this. What did I even do? I bit off more than I can chew. This isn't right for me, right? Like, we don't want that happening. So see this ahead of time. Okay, the next aspect and the final aspect of this formula is success, right? So how could this new role potentially feed your success, and how could this potentially starve your success? So let's say you think about, I'm at capacity in my current role every single day. So if I stay in this current job, I'm costing myself success, right? So we know, like what we talked about, you're drinking your way through getting home after work because you're so stressed out, because there's so much happening at work. You feel like it's just a horrible environment. So if you stay in this role, your health is going to suffer, your mental health is going to suffer, your emotional health is going to suffer. You're not going to be living your best life. You're not going to be creating the success that you were put on this earth to do, because you're in survival mode in a role that you aren't meant to be in anymore, right? So okay, if I stay in this role, I'm costing myself success because I'm overweight, I'm unhappy. And in this new role, there is work-life balance. They do have a focus on wellness. And yeah, I might be making less money, but you won't be making less money, right? Because we figured that out when we looked at your bankable portion. But you think to yourself, like, okay, there's a lot of room for expansion in this new role. This new opportunity feels like a breath of fresh air. I have travel opportunity and I've always wanted to travel. So that's a beautiful part about how this could feed my success. And I know I want to see new experience or have new life experiences and experience new cultures. So this new opportunity could be super valuable for me because it's going to enhance my life experience. And then personally, it's going to bring more wellness into my life because I won't be working as much. I won't be commuting as much. They have a wellness program at their work or at this company. So the ways that it could starve your success is you stay in your current reality and create more of what is not working for you, or you go into this new opportunity and have a new dimension of life open up because this opportunity is going to open doors for you. So you can look at that and evaluate what's your best case scenario and worst case scenario if you stay in your current reality, and what is your best case and worst case scenario if you were to depart and go to this new job. Do you see, once again, how specific we got going through this formula, right? So we looked at the time, money, we looked at the security in your body and the success potential. That just gave you every single detail that you need to make a secure decision, right? So if you think to yourself, like, if there's something else I missed, it's going to live within one of these four categories. So you can always go back to that and keep painting the vision for yourself of how you can make secure and informed decisions using this filter. So looking at it through those four specific categories. So is this making sense? Let me know if you have any questions, because I want you to leave this training feeling like, oh my God, I know exactly what to do. I know exactly how to apply this formula, because I want all of the drama to exit your decision-making process. I want you to use this formula to help you filter the information to get to the essentials that you need to help cut the complexity, cut all the other noise out so you can start making these secure decisions with ease. This is also going to help you get to the promised land and get to your truth so much faster when you are looking at it through this lens. So once you use this formula, once you know how to apply this formula, it is going to make it so much easier to decide. This is just then going to become how you think. So you're naturally just going to elevate into this way of thinking about decisions to where your brain just now sees this as the way it operates. So it's automatically just gonna be like, oh, bankable, oh, optimized, oh, secure, oh, success, right? And it's automatically going to filter the information through because this now becomes your programming. So once again, this is going to save you a ton of time. You're not going to be having all of this overthinking drama, and you're going to be feeling so much more calm, ease. It's going to feel much more grounded when you're making decisions, and it's going to make everything feel so much more efficient. So this is the boss formula. Please let me know if you want me to run you through any of these points deeper. I'd be happy to send you more information on this. I also have a workbook on this that can help you decide. So let me know if you want access to that. I can email it over to you. And I want to leave you with a couple things to remember about decision making. So making decisions is what propels us forward. So if you are in a place right now where I don't know is your predominant thought when you go to make decisions, that is a decision. I know, I hate it, right? But I am answering questions of I don't know. It's a decision, and your brain is going to see that as true, and it's just going to move on to the next thing. It's going to be like, yeah, I answered that question. I decided. I don't know, right? So I want you to always know that I don't know is a surface level answer that is going to keep you from accessing your true awareness, your true knowing. It's always going to keep you right here, right? We need to go beneath that I don't know to get to the true decision that you want to make and why. So I want you to know that also not making a decision is a decision, right? So living in that pattern of avoidance, living in that place where you are just putting it off and putting it off and putting it off because it's too much, that's a decision. You don't have to do that anymore. You can use the boss filter to help you decide with confidence, with certainty. Also, this is very important because this is something I know I didn't know. For a long time, it was very scary when I started this process, but discomfort is something that is a normal part of the decision-making process. What? Right? Okay, so when you are in a place where you are making a big, powerful decision, especially when the decision that you are making impacts other people's lives, there's a very normal thing that happens where you're going to feel fear, you're going to feel insecurity, you're going to feel doubt. Normal part of the process. To me, that's actually showing me that you have left your comfort zone and you are going into a place of being willing to feel uncomfortable in order to make a powerful decision. So do not let the discomfort stop you from deciding. This is what I help women work through. So I don't ever want to see you feeling uncomfortable as a reason why you avoid the decision-making process, because you can learn how to manage the discomfort and use that as a tool to help you navigate this process. So this is what I teach women how to do. If you need support on that, definitely let's talk. I will help you through that. Also, as I mentioned earlier, there is no such thing as a wrong decision unless you decide it is a wrong decision. So give yourself grace, right? You only have the opportunity to see it as wrong if you make that decision to see it as wrong. Okay. Another thing is every decision is going to get closer to where you want to be. So don't avoid making the decision, because all that's going to do is cost you time and keep you from being where you really want to be in life. Next is do not use your past decision making against yourself. I see so many people do this, right? You made one bad decision and now you are not somebody who makes good decisions, and that's how you self-identify. You cannot use that as something to weaponize the decision making process, right? So you made a bad decision, right? You decided it was a bad decision. Was it really a bad decision, or did it just give you the feedback that led you to where you're at now? I don't ever think that there's such a thing as a bad decision, right? Unless obviously we're committing a crime or doing something crazy like that. That's a whole separate area. But when you're just deciding, you're just gaining information. It's leading you to your next step. So don't use the decisions from your past or where things went wrong or where you failed or where you heard no as an opportunity to keep you from making powerful decisions in the future. I also encourage you not to delegate decision making. So this is once again as if you were just saying like, oh, somebody just decide the future for me, right? So I want you to think about deciding first before you offer the opportunity for anybody to get in your head. And if you are somebody who does want guidance on decision making, what I would recommend doing is setting up what I call a decision making advisory board. And these are your most trusted people in your life who you 100% have certainty in that they would never steer you in the wrong direction, and make the decision for yourself first and then consult them, right? Because there's nothing wrong with getting a second opinion. There's nothing wrong with picking somebody else's brain, but I want you to feel secure in your own decision first, because then it's going to be that much more difficult for somebody to get in your head and sway you, right? I want you feeling certain and confident in what you decide first before you start bringing other people's opinions into your brain, because that can cause a lot of confusion, especially when we have too many cooks in the kitchen, too much noise in our brain. We don't want to do that. So I encourage you to decide with certainty, not doubt. And remember, fear is not a good reason for holding off on making a decision. Use fear as a guide to show you what you really give a shit about in your life. Because if you didn't care about something, you wouldn't fear losing it, right? So just know fear, it's an emotion designed to keep us alive. I use fear as a beautiful tool to help me see what really matters and propel me forward. You can do the same thing for yourself. All right. I hope this has been helpful. Please let me know if you have any follow-up questions, and we will be back on Monday to talk about 5 identities you need to shed in order to create the maximum level of success in your life. So this will be a podcast releasing inside the Confidence Lounge. I cannot wait for you to hear this, because truly this is after working with hundreds of women on creating success and creating confidence. These are the 5 things that I see standing in their way every single time. So I want to see if this is what's happening for you too, so we can get this out of your way so you can create the ultimate success that you desire. All right. I will see you on Monday. Have a beautiful weekend, and I'll be back with you next week.